in the sort of basic specialist area and the wholesale markets, and particularly the retailers, that the whole marketplace was changing, and the companies like Tesco's and Sainsbury's in the UK were getting more and more market share, and unfortunately the local greengrocers were closing. But what I could see was a big opportunity in the eating out market, the food service market. So in 1989, with the backing of my dad and the family, we started Reynolds as a food service company, and basically we've been able to grow that business over the last 20 odd years to a scale now that is, well...
They really had to recreate a whole new business. So you talk about disruption. This was really the creation of a new business. And I'm very pleased actually to have our current speaker. I did not know Tanash until just recently, but I found him to be an extraordinarily reflective person on the challenges that confront and the opportunities that exist in dealing with South Africa. So without that, let's just go on, and Tanash, if you could come on up.
So that essentially means that we have a heck of a lot of headroom to go for in terms of growing total volume sales within produce. According to the government's own statistics, getting up to that 5-a-day point would mean a 28% increase in volume sales across the whole of produce. So there's a heck of a lot of headroom for the category to go for. And lastly, the final point, in the UK market, the produce sector is fairly significantly own label. It's actually 97.6% own label across the whole of produce. So brands are very much in the minority. And it's easy to understand why own label is so prevalent in produce. It's a category that's all about health and freshness and vitality. It's full of vibrant colours, fantastic flavours and abundant variety.
They have no brands in them, and yet Florette is there. And you always wonder how that really is sustained and how that comes about. And it seems like it's with a lot of hard work and insight. But thank you to the team from Kantar as well, bringing in the consumer aspect as a kind of background to every one of the workshops we're doing today. It is
at the forefront of what's happening in the UK. I was starting to get a bit worried that we weren't really conforming to stereotypes, so I'd really like to thank Tony for throwing in a random core blimey there, which I thought was quite a good one. And Jim was saying first thing this morning that everything that's happening in the market, in the US, in the UK, elsewhere, consistently changes the traditional way of thinking, and no one really would argue that the most traditional sector that we have out there is...
I took a lot of notes. I am here to talk about wholesalers as a gateway into independence, and especially the ethnic markets. Hopefully I'm also telling you a lot about the relationship that wholesalers try to have with these markets, so that you see opportunities, whether you're on the supply side or you're a retailer, you see opportunities to increase sales. And just kind of a happy go between the two.
Okay, so we'll go to London now. You know, London, probably alongside New York, might be the most culturally diverse city in the world, I'd say. They're quite close by to it. And these two guys are from the two premier wholesale markets in London, but very different markets. If you don't mind, you could just give us a bit of an example of why they're different markets. I'll start with Gary and just explain what Covent Garden is and does, and the makeup of the market.
Well, as Chris would agree, New Covent Garden is the premier wholesale market in Great Britain. But we're centrally based in London, and so what we have done, so the benefit of our market, and you heard earlier on from Tony Reynolds, who's a big food service supplier to the United Kingdom.
is when you look within each of these bars. So I want you, and does this have a pointer there? Okay. Let's see if that, yeah. So if you go back to 1994 and you look at the distribution between bananas, other fruit and vegetables, what you will see there is that it was relatively evenly distributed at that time. However, today, bananas have grown only slightly relative to what they were 20 years ago, and the growth has been in the
from Guatemala. Karina, de Ecuador. Juan Ariel Reyes, de México. Y Conrado Falco, de Perú. And at this point, I would like to invite Michael to begin our presentation. Sure.
Thank you very much, Priscilla, for this opportunity. Should I move it here? Where should I put that? Most of them, or some of them, part of the Global Food Safety Initiative that you all guys know and you all guys need in order to sustain a market. But more than that, I would like to tell you that this is
variety in Ecuador, Cayenne, Golden Sweet, and also MD2. And the seasonality is on year. We also have broccoli, and it's very well liked vegetables in international markets, and because of the contents of the vitamins and.
Priscilla and Roberta, awesome job you did, Roberta, with your presentation. Thank you very much. Okay, I am Juan Ariel. I am from the AMPEC, which is the Mexican Association for the Protected Agriculture. And here's my presentation.
I'm based here. That is my address, my phone, and my email. Please take note of my email and please ask me any questions, any data that you want. I will run through a long presentation, but I will do it very shortly. And there is a lot of data and a lot of contact, but if you have any interest, you can
yourselves and let them know where you're from and what company you represent.
Hi, so I'm Alistair Stone. I work for a company called Waitrose, a supermarket in the UK, and I'm responsible for the procurement of vegetables.
Bruce Peterson, live in Bentonville, Arkansas, formerly with Walmart.
Red Griffin, formerly with the Kroger Company. I now live in Hilton Head, South Carolina.
Biggs Bozzano, formerly with McLawn's Companies and living in Southern California.
In New York with Marcon, and I'm still employed.
My name is Andreas Schindler, and I'm founder of Luncheon in Germany, Hamburg.
Okay, so Thomas Jefferson was mentioned by John F. Kennedy when he held a meeting at the White House for all the recipients of the Nobel Prize that year. And his comment was that there had never been such an assemblage of intellect in the White House, with the possible exception of when Thomas Jefferson dined alone. Well, I think we had quite the assemblage of intellect here.